Shirley, you there? Shirley, are you there?
Hi, Mike, or hi, Jim, I mean.
Hi.
All right, I'm going to bring this September 6th meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Kate,
Here.
Gabe. Oh, excuse me, I took an old one. Jamie,
Here.
Jim,
Present.
Michael.
Here.
Did he say present? I see him. Clay,
Oh, no.
Deb. Here. And Troy.
Here.
We have somebody with mics on. If you could please get those shut off on your computer.
Oh, no. Somebody else from over here though, too. Okay, we have Pastor James Moore tonight from Journey. Please go ahead and turn the mic on.
Yep, there we go. All right, can I lead us in prayer tonight as we begin the meeting? Heavenly Father, Lord, our hearts tonight are that everyone here will feel the presence of God, that every person meeting us online or here in this building would feel your presence. We would know your wisdom and your will for this meeting. And Lord, we pray for the Rapid City area schools that every teacher and every student, every administrator, they'd be blessed by God, that things would go according to your plan, that we'd feel your favor. But Lord, also we pray that as in all of our learning, like Romans chapter 1 says, in all of our learning, when we don't retain the knowledge of God with it, we become utter fools. And we pray that would never happen to us, that we would retain the knowledge of God with our learning, that our education system would be based on first the knowledge that there's our Creator and His Son, Jesus Christ. And Lord, we just pray, Lord, over this meeting, over President Kate and all of the school board members and all those that are here, your best be upon us for our children, Lord. Bless the children of our city in this meeting, in Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I need a roll call vote or motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Carr and Deb. Roll call.
Kate,
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Michael. Clay,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Troy.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right. On to number 5, then sharing the success. We have Amber Tilburg, our district nurse manager, with us tonight.
Actually, President Thomas, I asked for this to be put on the board. I wanted to recognize all of the incredible hard work that Dr. Tilburg took upon herself this year. We were without a recruiter in the HR office this summer and had a lot of things fluctuating in that office. And Dr. Tilburg came forward, decided that she saw a need, which of course we would like all employees to step up when they see a need. So Dr. Tilburg stepped up. She went out of her way. She determined that she felt that we could get out and get the word out about our needs for hiring if we had a bigger presence in the community. So she found events for us to go to, and she made an amazing booth with a theme called Grow With Us. She had events, things for the kids to do, plant seeds. She had stickers and cards made up that we could give out to potential employees. She staffed it. She sent out invites to hiring managers when we didn't always sign up immediately. She got right back on us about stepping up and getting our name down there. So we were at various community events, including events at Main Street Square, the Farmers Market, the Central States Fair, and a Strider event, among many others. I manned booths at Main Street Square and at the fairgrounds. And I will say that in addition to being a recruiting tool, it was a really good community relations tool. We got to answer questions from the community about schools, hand out calendars. It was a way to get us very present in the community and to communicate that. It's a lot of work. 2 wagonfuls of stuff at every single event that had to be hauled in and hauled out. Just an amazing amount of work. And we did hire people from those events. Not everybody we needed, but we did hire people. I just really felt connected to the community, and I thought it was an incredible thing that she did. So I wanted her to be recognized. I have a gift for her from me on behalf of the Rapid City School District. And I don't know if you want to ask her any questions.
Sure. I don't have any questions. What gave you the idea, I guess?
I just felt like through a series of events over the last year and a half or two, so much of the positive things we do aren't recognized. They aren't seen. Everything that is bad or looks negative seems to make the headlines and nothing good does. And I see working here and having children of my own in the district that there is so much good here. And I wanted that to be in view. And so, you know, I made an attempt. I, at that time, asked our director of HR, Kristen, you know, I want to go to all these events. We went to Wilson Park, we went to Native Pop, Central States Fair, and all of these events. And we were there just to spread positivity instead of negativity, which unfortunately always seems to go farther than positivity. But when people would come by our booths and they'd see, you know, fun little cheap 38-cent keychains that say RCAS on them, and they're like, oh, what's that? And you get to talk to them and they're like, do you work there? And you're like, yeah, I do. And they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm the nurse manager. I work with all the school nurses. And they'd be like, oh yeah, we really like our nurse. And I'm like, yeah, I bet they're great. And you know, you could just stir up some really great conversation. And then before you know it, they've stood there for 5-6 minutes talking about great things about the district instead of bad things. And so one by one, we just started to, it seemed to help. And I don't know, I guess I'm weird. I think it's really fun, but I enjoyed it. I roped, you know, other agencies that support our district or organizations into it as well. And so that was really great. We had some board members step up to help, and that was awesome too. And it was a really good thing. And like Nicole brought up, we actually, you know, we kept our "we're hiring" banner up, and we got some. So one is better than none. And if we didn't hire anybody from that event, we at least made 6 people smile about it instead of 6 people frown. So I think that the community presence is
way more than 6 people at every
Well,
event. Yes.
yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess we can't tell you how much we do appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts too.
Well,
So
thank you, but yeah. Oh,
I
okay.
guess we're taking our picture. On behalf of the school district, I got you a massage at Mystic Edge because I think after hauling all that stuff in and out, you probably deserve one.
Well, I stuck you with it once, and so that's why
She
you know
did.
how much stuff
She
there is.
did. I know how much stuff there is.
thank you, Mrs. Tilburg. All right, on to persons wishing to address the school board. We are at 10 people, so we're going to limit the time. I don't need to vote on that, just to extend the time. So that we'll do it to 3 minutes each. And I'll just go over the guidelines really quick, just for any new people. In issues that affect an individual or particular school, for sure, first should be addressed at the building level, so the staff has an opportunity to address the issue. Speakers should focus on the main points and not be repetitive. Personal matters or complaints that directly or indirectly identify an employee shall not be discussed. To maintain a civil dialogue, threats and intimidation are not allowed. And our first speaker is Victor Dominique.
Hello, school board. Today I come to you to talk about an issue that's been affecting my sister for the past years during her time within this district. My little sister has been bullied, harassed, and threatened with bodily injury for the past few years, both with her time at West Middle School and Stevens High School. And I've requested to the administrators that the appropriate punitive measures are enacted to ensure this doesn't happen again to her, as she fears going to school because of these students who have been harassing her. And every single time that I've brought this issue up to the school administrators, they brush it off and they never follow the school's discipline matrix, as we'd see the student around the school in the halls and classes the next day. And even though I've reported it multiple times, as well as my mother who reports it, it never got addressed. And it continued into this year, being her second year at Stevens, where on the first day of school, she was followed out of her classroom and she was threatened by a student. She came into the Atiapi room and she told me about it. So I asked her if we can go to the office to request a schedule change and to request action. And we did. And Principal Jocelyn Hafner at Stevens High School came out of her office yelling at me, saying that she's in a meeting, in which I responded that I don't care about her meeting because the priority is her student safety. That should be her number one priority, which she totally brushed off as she focused on me interrupting her rather than my sister being threatened moments before. She put me into our assistant principal Thompson's office so she can handle it because she was in a meeting. And she came out of the classroom and ordered the liaison officer to arrest me for disturbing the school because I called her out on her failure to address the issue, which she hasn't been addressing it, nor has her assistant principals. So she had the liaison officer arrest me for disturbing the school when I was compliant, I was respectful, and I didn't curse the entire time. I was simply addressing the situation at hand, which they took way out of proportion because they ended up arresting me rather than the student who was threatening my sister. All I did was want to bring forward the issues so that it could be fixed. So my sister didn't have to worry about being attacked or beat up while being in her school when she just wants to learn. And last week she transferred to Sturgis because of the issue, because the principal seemed to care about me bringing it up to her rather than addressing it with her, addressing the student and ensuring that her safety would be preserved at the school, as her right to an education was interfered with, as she had to worry about a student, which made her want to skip school a lot last year, where she was begging my mom to stay home because she was scared of these students. And so I'd like to have the principal addressed because she showed nothing but unprofessionalism during my time speaking with her. And she possibly abused her power by ordering the liaison officer to arrest me and push for criminal charges against me for disturbing the school, when all I did was address an issue that hits home for many students within this district, as it's a never-ending issue because administrators don't take it seriously. And they focus on the issues that don't matter, such as students wearing hats, rather than students being bullied, threatened, and students who are dealing with
That's
racial
fine. Thank you.
discrimination.
We will have the administration follow up with that, though.
Thank you.
All right, next speaker, Andrew Ironshell.
Good evening. Thank you for hearing us out tonight. And I just don't really have a complaint, but I have a statement, because I was really worried and concerned about this young man's situation at his school. The fact that he felt that he wasn't heard when he took the issue of bullying to, through the direct recourse that is told to them to do, come to the office and speak about things. When you see something, say something, right? That's what we tell our youth. And so I was really concerned when I heard this, because I work out in the community. I'm close with our community here, and I hear stories every day about bullying, from the elementary kids all the way up to the high school youth in our community. And it alarms me that all of them feel like there's no recourse. All of them know that there's things on the books. There's certain personalities in their schools that are helpful, but yet why do these youth feel like they have no power? We look at El Valde, right? That school shooting that just happened. And we don't know what the cause of that was, but it alarms me when we don't listen to our youth, when we don't listen to our students, because those bad things happen, and they can happen here. We know that there's a lot of racial tensions in this community that, and not just that, but people that don't listen. school administrators, teachers, parents, that maybe we're not listening to the youth in the way that we should. And sometimes bad things happen. We don't want that to happen in our community, right? And so we need to hold some quality assurance over these school policies. Yes, they look beautiful on paper, they look meaningful, but we know after an incident happens, they don't mean anything. We could prevent a lot of things that are happening if we listen to these youth that say they're being bullied. And if we don't take it serious, shame on us, each of us in this room, each of us in this community, if we don't start taking these youth and listening to them for what they tell us as truth. We can investigate it. We don't have to be so bureaucratic. We can be a good relative, right? And listen. And so I hope that you do take this young person's considerations and everybody that reports bullying within the school system. Because at this immediate time, I'm close to the community. I do community work. The community knows me. I have 5,000 Facebook friends that are from this community, not from out in the world, from this community. So every night I see people complaining about what happened to their children at school, And so I think that you need to take it upon yourselves to examine your policies and make sure that they're not just written out well and legal, but that they're really helping the students that are being bullied, So I want to say that much and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, Jan Mengelson.
Good evening. I think this public comment time is to direct concerns and questions, not just to you, the board, but school administration as well. My comment is directed at you both tonight. According to the timeline that the Rapid City Journal reported, the banned books were banned by administration the first semester of school last year. I think that if they were controversial, the books, there should have been an open meeting discussing the pros and cons of the books. Instead, it came out as surplus to be destroyed at a board meeting. There was controversy and anger on both sides of the issue. I think this could have been avoided with an earlier open discussion of the books. I feel this was a slap in the face to the English teachers who should get the respect they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Valeria Big Eagle.
Madake Dr. Valeria Big Eagle Machepi. So I'm here today to speak on behalf of my Toshka here, Diego Dominguez and his sister. So they are both Indigenous youth. And I know I spoke to this board before about the statistics already of our Indigenous youth in this school district. And already they're against those odds, right? So being in high school, I'm so proud of them already because they're still here. What I'm worried and concerned about is the lack of following through with policy when it comes to not only the policy discipline matrix, what have you, but restorative practices, right? And so for this young man and he's very level-headed. I spoke with him and you heard him tonight. He's very level-headed and articulate, and he was protecting his sister because his sister was bullied for years at West Middle School and at Stevens High School. And so being the big brother that he is, the protector, he went to speak with the administration, and it sounds like it wasn't the first attempt his family has tried either. And he was arrested for disrupting the classroom, disrupting the school. What concerns me is that now he's having to deal with the state's attorney's office. He is an Indigenous man that's now having to go face to face with most like, that's that pipeline to prison that we know our Indigenous people go through. I do not want to see him go through that. I can tell he's a bright young man. He has a bright future ahead of him. He is wanting to go into the military, and to even have a tarnishment on his record possibly may disrupt that path that he planned on going. And so I'm asking the school board to make sure they're addressing this at the principal level, making sure we're following policy, but also that the bullying stops. That's addressed as well for his little sister. And also that you consider restorative justice for this, because he does want to serve our country. He does want to do good for the community. And we have to be mindful that for him to even be in high school, he's facing the odds already. Most of Indigenous youth, when they're his age, already drop out. So we have to be mindful of that. And so I just want to thank you for giving me the time to speak my truth and his sister's truth and his family, his aunts here as well. And for the folks that showed up for him tonight. And it's just calling for equity. And that's all it is. We want our Indigenous students to have equitable opportunity, and we want their voices to be heard. And so that's what I'm asking the school board to do. Thank you. Wopila Tonka.
Thank you. David Needham.
Yeah, you know what? I wasn't here to talk about bullying, but I have heard, I'm not blaming anybody in particular, but it is interesting because I've heard that bullying is worse than ever, which doesn't make any sense because I know it's a priority item. So I think it should almost be a zero tolerance issue. You know, if someone's going to be a bully, they should maybe be homeschooled. But anyhow, but I'm here today to offer a path towards healing and unity in our schools and community. And to accomplish that goal, certain issues must be addressed. Public schools, by definition, exist to educate the public. Children from families of every political persuasion attend public schools that we all fund with our tax dollars. The National Education Association, the American Federation of Teachers, and their affiliates are examples of teachers' unions that have veered from their core mission of advocating for educators into taking on the role of indoctrinating children for the Democratic Party. If you are a member, and I'm speaking to any teachers that might hear this, if you are a member of these unions and aware of what they are doing, then you should be ashamed of yourself. If these unions persist in working for the Democratic Party, I call on teachers to vote to decertify these unions that prey on families lacking the resources to leave public schools. By taking these steps, you can help save our public schools and heal our communities. You know, teachers can and must put a stop to this abuse of power by these unions before they do further damage and force parents to look elsewhere to educate their children. I think there's like 1 million students left the public school system, I think is last year or something. And since these unions seem hell bent on destruction, I shouldn't have said hell. I just saw bent and said hell. So it wasn't on there. And since these unions seem bent on self-destruction, state legislatures should support school vouchers because all parents deserve options, not just the wealthy ones. Healing and unity in our communities will remain elusive as long as educators are willing to indoctrinate children for any political party. And my point is that I think this is such a divisive issue because I can't even imagine if the unions were willing to indoctrinate students for conservatives or for Republicans. It would be a firestorm, you know what I mean? And so that's all. I think the teachers need to deal with this. They can deal with this. We shouldn't have to fight to get them out of the schools. The teachers can do it.
Thank you. Sarah Gross.
Good evening, school community. I always think there's some type of divine order in who speaks and when we speak, because I have what I want to say written up, and I'm going to veer because I am a very proud Teachers Association member. I pay my dues, and it's a large chunk of my pay, and I do so because they are the only group that's advocating in Rapid City for me. They negotiate an agreement and they make sure that if someone claims that I'm indoctrinating their kids, that they can come into my classroom and see that I am basing every decision on content standards developed in the state of South Dakota. I feel so insulted for a vast member of my teachers. It's not very articulate, but I am the face of the Rapid City Teachers Association, one of many. There are 13,000 kids in the schools, and I feel like they advocate for me in my profession. So to say that, and I don't know what you're reading, Mr. Needham, but I don't believe
It's all over. It's all over.
I don't believe it's true to Rapid City. I believe that the Teachers Association at our local level is doing amazing things to provide equity across the board. Now on to what I intended to say. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am in a building that does not have air conditioning. My building has been retrofitted with numerous wall stations that go in. I'm in one of 4 or 5 rooms that doesn't have one. So you can walk down the hallway and the second grader over here and the second grader over here have different learning experiences because these guys get to cool down, but these guys are seriously laying on their desks. So by 1 o'clock, I had a kindergartner and they said, I'm sweating. Like they were sitting down for story time sweating. And so I was hoping I'd have all of my minutes tonight, but I feel like as a parent, as a mom of 2 kids in the school district, I can do nothing better with my time than advocate for a bond or an opt-out. I don't believe that any other funding source will be as consistent. And I think about my time coaching 7th grade volleyball up at North. You know, the first week you get them all excited and they're there. And now those poor kiddos don't have after school practice and they're going to be up against schools that have gotten to practice. And so it's not just in the classroom where we see these inequities, but across the school district in many different areas. It is 1929 when Wilson was built. Rapid City High School beats that, but it's been updated, of course. So that was 1923. Jefferson and Lincoln were built in the 30s, Lincoln 1951. If I was here in the 50s, it'd be so great. There'd be schools popping up everywhere and I would know that my community was like, yeah, let's educate all the kids. Because in 1951, 1952,
Sorry, that is time.
so many
Sarah,
buildings were
gross.
built.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kari Green.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. Tonight, I would like to focus specifically on the infrastructure issues that we've been having, specifically the cooling systems that we are seeing issues with throughout the district. When I look up the vision statement for Rapid City area schools, it reads, RCAS is committed to building tomorrow's community through inspiration, innovation, and excellence. Inspiration is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. I question how our children can be mentally stimulated and make use of their creative minds in classroom heat that is known to cause anxiety, exhaustion, and even aggression. Currently, the answer is to stop classroom learning. Instead, our children are shown an uncreative, unimaginative, uninventive approach to this problem, which, as you are aware, is the opposite of inspiration. Innovation, a new idea, method, or device. I question what new ideas or devices are in the works to keep our children and teachers comfortable, because once again, closing our schools early is opposite of innovation. This is not a commitment to our district's vision. Excellence, the quality of being outstanding and extremely good or extremely good. I question how the 13 schools that have had to close their doors early for the first couple of weeks fits that definition. I know that our teachers are some of the best in the area, and their commitment to our children and this low-paying district is what truly defines this vision. The complacent nature of this district is extremely concerning. I will not give up hope for this district, as I believe our schools are filled with future leaders, as one sitting behind me, as we've seen tonight. And I hope that we can come together to find a solution for our students and our teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Florence Thompson.
Good evening, board. My name is Florence Thompson. I'm president of South Dakota Parents Involved in Education. And I'm also a retired school psychologist with over 40 years experience in the schools. I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what Dave Needham said. Yeah, I did talk about the teachers unions before, and Education International is the International Teachers Union Association, and they are joined with UNESCO, the United Nations, education and cultural whatever. So they adopt their total agenda, which is globalism. It's globalist Marxism. It's totally against nationalism, and it's basically one type of schooling for the entire world. NEA is a part of the EI, and SDEA is a part of NEA, National Education Association. And RCEA is a part of SDEA. So those policies come down from a global level. And this is not conspiracy theory. This is actually all in their setup and their documentation of how they operate. I have a documentary film. It's called Truth and Lies in American Education. It's put out by our national, which is the national NEA, or getting all my alphabet mixed up. Our national group, which is USPI, and it's called Truth and Lies in American Education, and I would be showing that around the community, and we're also going to be selling those videos, and I'm going to make sure that school board members get some. One of the people previously talked about being concerned about how negative everything is. I don't believe that's true. I believe there is definitely bias one way or the other. I think if you read the Rapid City Journal, you'll see a heavy negative bias against our conservative school board. So the schools are ground zero for the cultural war, and we are in the middle of political battle. Whether we say it or not, there's no way to avoid it. We're in it. So that's the way it is, and we just have to take each day at a time and treat each other with respect and treat each other as individuals. Thank you.
Thank you. Rocky Atkinson?
Hello, everyone. My name is Rocky Atkinson. I'm a former student, paraprofessional, substitute teacher, and special education case manager for Rapid City area. Former being the key point there. I'm back tonight for a couple of reasons. Firstly, to make the board and the highest levels of administration aware that your high school special education program, particularly for life skills students, is being looked at by Disability Rights right now. Disability Rights, in case you don't know, is an advocate resource parents of students on IEPs can utilize to ensure their students are receiving all the services they are entitled to per the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, a federal law that states that this group of students is entitled to a free, appropriate public education. This advocate group has recently discovered via multiple parents of students in life skills room that their kids attend a partial day of school instead of the full 7 hours all other students attend, despite the fact that these are the students in need of additional remediation and instruction. This detrimental early release practice has been going on in SPED for many years prior to me being involved in the district. And I believe that now may be the time for change. Make no mistake, it will become a very costly lawsuit with as many complainants as there are now. Secondly, I want to address the school closures due to lack of appropriate facilities, of course. I want to talk about the students that are missing those hours in school, specifically those students. Common sense dictates that those students will fall behind, yes, from missing hours of school. I was curious, so I looked at statistics. 42% of the students missing school because of improper facilities are people of color. 50% are low-income students. 4 of those schools are Title I schools. This is the underserved population we already have, and now we're continuing to underserve them. Are we expecting that test scores and graduation rates are going to go up and crime rates are going to go down when we have kids like this out of school? It's not how this works. It's really not how any of this works. Why do the rich and well-off and fortunate students in this district matter more? This is a charter school / voucher mentality at its finest, separating classes of people
That's time.
intentionally based on their income.
Thank you.
Tanchi Weaver.
Good evening, board. Welcome to another school year. Here we go. Well, I'm here to give a little bit of a voice to our school bus drivers. I have friends who drive school bus, and I think that some of the problems with discipline and bullying may be happening on the school buses. Our drivers are charged with the safety of all students on the buses. And the reason that I'm bringing this to you is because no one really wants to come to the microphone and voice it themselves. So I'm being the surrogate for them. I do think that this is one of the most important jobs in the district. My dad was a school bus driver, and I know how important well-behaved children are on the bus. And I would encourage you to consider maybe putting a monitor on the buses, if at all possible, because the bus driver can't do both jobs. And if students are fighting or bullying each other, maybe there could be a rotation of teachers that ride the bus, or even parent volunteers. It's, I don't have a prepared solution for you. I'm just making you aware of a problem. There are many instances I've been told where young kids are just so afraid because the really young kids are on the bus with the older kids, and the older kids can sometimes get kind of raucous. So I'm not trying to minimize the situation. I've been told of certain instances that I won't go into here, but I do think that maybe that's some of the problem, that the buses are kind of free range for bullying. And I've read your policy that the classroom, the school bus is an extension of the classroom. And it really is a matter of safety for the students, for other people in traffic, and for the bus drivers. So I support the bus drivers in their quest to have order on their school buses, and whatever it takes to do that, I guess that's up to more creative minds than mine. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are on to number 7, conflict of interest, and I have no waivers that have been turned in. So we are at approval of consent agenda. I need a motion. Deb, Bishop Carr. Did anybody want anything pulled? All right, roll call.
Kate,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Troy.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Okay, on to the report of the superintendent. Ms. Swaggart.
Thank you, President Thomas. So it seems like we've not been together for a long time because August has extra Tuesdays in it. So in the 3 weeks since we have met last, we have been very busy in the Rapid City area school system. First thing I'd like to do is we hired a new HR director, and Mr. Manuel is here this evening. Very brave. Today was day one and he still came to the board meeting. I told him today, I came to a board meeting on my first day, so that must just be how we do it. I'm very excited to have Mr. Manuel on board with us. There's a lot of important work that gets done through the Human Relations Office, and having a director in place is going to help us move forward with that. So thank you again for joining us today. So since we met last time, we had all the new teachers come in for training, and I got to speak with them. And one of the things I talked with the new teachers about was grace and pre-forgiveness, because no matter how much training we get to be educators, things happen every single day. And so we talked about grace. And we also talked about pre-forgiveness, because sometimes we need to understand that they need to come to an administrator and talk things out, and we need that in that mentoring piece. So that was really great. I also did go speak to the bus drivers, and Mr. Talley and I had a meeting before we spoke to the bus drivers, and we want to assure the bus drivers and the community that we are taking discipline behavior complaints on the bus very seriously this year. And Mr. Talley has been talking to the principals about that as well. We agree that behavior on the bus is very important, because that driver is transporting very important cargo to schools every day. And we do not want the behavior to be distracting to that bus driver in any way, shape, or form. I also spoke to the nutrition group. I've been really busy, and they're super excited about the work that they are doing this year. Of course, the nutrition guidelines. In the past couple of years, we've been feeding everyone through the ESSER and COVID relief money. Nationwide, all students have been eating for free, and that has changed this year. So we are encouraging families to apply for the free or reduced lunch meals. It is a little bit of money if students eat breakfast and lunch every day at school. It's about $5, and that can really add up, and students need to make sure they have money in their account. Although I have been in contact with our nutrition manager, and I have been assured that every student is fed regardless of whether they have money in their account. And I know that comes up often, but we are feeding students. We had the Rushmore Bowl, which is of course something we partner with Mid-Continent Communications every year. And that is a big event that tickets are kind of expensive for families. And we played, Central played Sturgis, and Rapid City Stevens played Sioux Falls, Washington. And we went 50-50. We won, the Raiders won, and the Cobblers lost. But it was a really great evening with lots of support for students, and just the atmosphere with all the people there supporting kids. And then that money Mid-Continent gives back to our schools. So it is a very valuable partnership that we have. We had the district opener, and that was powerful as well. We invited all employees of the district to attend, and my message to the district employees was that we are focusing on these 4 pillars this year. We are going to communicate in all shapes and forms with the board, with the community, with parents, and the schools are going to be communicated with, and the teachers are going to be communicated with. We also talked about appreciation. because we have lots of appreciation that needs to happen in this district because our employees are all very important and they do great work. And sometimes it is easy to not feel like anyone is paying any attention to what we're doing. And so we're going to work on appreciation. And I really truly believe from the bottom of my heart that if we do the communication and the appreciation piece, education is going to improve. And then as I was writing my speech about those things, then I decided to add celebration because I think that we need to have positives and we need to celebrate a lot more in the district this year. So school started and that happened last Tuesday. And on Wednesday, we looked at the temperatures and it was getting very warm. And as was pointed out tonight, we have some very old buildings. Wilson is old. It was made out of limestone. Mr. Velaswamy and I have been talking about how it maintains the heat and it just does not cool off even if the temperatures cool off outside. That is one of the things about that material. And it of course is old and it is 3 floors and it does not have the infrastructure to support all air conditioning and fans and things like that. So we took it very seriously and we communicated, Mr. Talley communicated with all of the principals in all buildings to figure out what was going on. And through that communication, we determined that the 13 buildings without air conditioning were really suffering. So we want kids to come to school as much as possible and we want to feed kids. So that is why we determined that the 1 o'clock release. Looking ahead at, over the weekend, we looked ahead at the forecast for this week and it is not any better. In fact, Mr. Velaswamy and I met today and we looked at Wednesday night going into Thursday, the time that it cools down that we flush in cool air into our buildings, air conditioned or not, we pull in the cool air so that we can cool down the buildings without huge power surges. That amount of time that night, Wednesday night, is so short that we're not sure that we're going to get much benefit out of that. Even though Wednesday is our hottest day, Tuesday night does give us some cooler air to pull into the buildings. So we're keeping an eye on that as well. On that first day of school, all of the directors were out in buildings. I was out in buildings as well. I visited 10 buildings that day. I was really busy. In every building I went to every single classroom and attempted to wish the staff and the students to have a good year. Nobody, not one student recognized me. They just have not been watching the news enough because I seem to be on the news an awful lot. But we got my face out there and I know the other directors were very excited to be in buildings as well. Every building had leadership there. That day we also had the first Cobbler Raider volleyball game of the season. So I went to that and that was exciting. Those are tough because somebody in Rapid has to lose. In this case, again, like the Rushmore Bowl, the Raiders came out on top. We continue to have hiring issues. We are more than 59 paras short in the district. Dr. Hafer has been working on some stuff we're going to get out into the community about hiring. We want to make that process easier and we want people in the community to recognize that we will take people who cannot work a full day. We're going to work with people if they can work mornings, bus driving the same way. If they can drive a bus route in the morning, we will take them. If they will find somebody else who can drive it in the afternoon. We want to talk to people who want to work with us and we want to make things go well for them. So we're looking at ways that we can make our application process for those hourly positions more streamlined. Last week, we were at 13,001 students, Mr. Talley tells me. And we're of course keeping an eye on that because the day that we report our numbers to the state is the last Friday in September. So that will be coming up. I'm continuing the coffee chats with people in the community and I'm really enjoying that. It's amazing how there is something that I can absolutely connect with in every coffee chat that I've had. And everybody really does care about education. So those have been great conversations. And if you watch the news, I've been really popular on there. So I think they'll get tired of me sooner or later, but that is the board, my report for the last 3 weeks.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for her from board members? All right. On to other. Does any board member have any others? Looking for hands too.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to welcome everybody to the school year. I want to congratulate Ms. Swigart for a wonderful opener. And I have adopted the communicate, appreciate, and educate. I think it's a wonderful theme, and now celebrate. So I appreciate you for a wonderful opener. I appreciate Mr. Talley for what you're doing with the principals. I overheard somebody talking to you about the professional dress that had been addressed and how they were thanking you for that. So I appreciate you for all the things that you're doing to make each building cohesive and make the district cohesive. And Mr. Sassy, thank you again. I appreciate you for all the things that you've done. I hope when we talk about communicate that the district is trying to promote an environment of cooperation with everybody. And I hope that we are able to have an environment where we don't tolerate pettiness and tolerate disagreement and tolerate negativity. This is a big ship. The district is a big ship, and it just doesn't turn on a dime. And so it takes time to turn it into the right direction. And I'm pleased to feel that I think we are going in the right direction. When you talk about communicate, I just want to propose that it's okay to disagree. Disagreement is not necessarily a bad thing. We've gotten to the point where if I disagree with you, that means I don't like you, which is really, dare I say, an immature way of thinking about it. I can like you and disagree, and disagreement is not a bad thing. And so I hope that as we turn the ship in this environment, that we can disagree. And one of the things that I say at the church, we can have a good friendly fight and then go out and get some ice cream. And that's the type of environment that I hope we have. I also would like to invite, and I think I don't see Mrs. Tilburg. Is she still here? Oh, yeah. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Thank you so much, because it's the thing that I want to talk about, to invite people to the public comments to come and talk about positive things, right? And not so much, I know it would help me. Yeah, I know it would help me personally, because it is hard being on this side of the desk, hearing about everything that I'm doing wrong when I'm trying to do my best to do things that are right. And so thank you so much for what you're doing in the community. And again, I invite people who feel the way that you do to come and so that we can hear the good and the bad. My last point about the building heat. I received an email and the comment tonight talking about the board's responsibility in making sure that our kids have facilities that they are able to be educated in. Well, that process is a dual responsibility with the community. And when I got on the board, I heard about the last bond that didn't pass. And so that board did their due diligence in coming up with the bond, in communicating the bond, and the voters didn't vote it in. It was 56% from what I'm told. And so we need a 60% majority. And so the board will do its responsibility about bringing up another bond once we get it together and some other things. We will do that, but it's also the community's responsibility to vote yes on the bond. The board can't do anything. The administration can't do anything. If I had the money to build schools, I'd build them right now, and I'd have the gym called Bishop Carr Gym, and I'd have all these buildings in my name, right? But I don't have the money. And so we have to work together with the community. And so when the next bond comes out, please say yes to it so that we can have air conditioning and do all the things that we need to do to make sure that our kids have modern facilities to go to school. That's it.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. All right, we will be going into executive session for SDCL 1-25-2.1. I need a motion and a second. Okay.
Kate,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Troy.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
There will be no further business afterwards. So we are at, thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you.